Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to apply cream products for all skin types. I know oily skin types, they sometimes stay away. Creams, oh no, that can't be for me. Just wait, you're going to want to watch this video. And really fast, before we get in, I have on the e.l.f. Retro Paradise eyeshadow palette on my eyes. I'll have everything listed below and all of the makeup I have on. If you want to see how to use creams, keep watching. All right guys, let's go ahead and get started. Remember, I've already done all of my skincare, so I'll link that below. I have that video and how I prep my skin every day. I have normal to dry skin, but everything we're doing here is gonna work for every single skin type. Do not be afraid and let me show you. Okay, first tip for using all creams. We're gonna grab this Illamasqua Matte Veil Primer. I absolutely love this one. And even though I have normal to dry skin, I still want to place this mattifying primer through the center of my face. And if you are oily, please check out this primer. Honestly, I have been obsessed with it. You guys have seen it nonstop in my daily Instagram tutorials. And I'm applying this with my eye treatment brush from Anisa Beauty, just so I can really pinpoint exactly where I want to mattify. And once I have this spread around on my face, we are going to let this primer dry down for at least a minute. Now, if you're oily, you can skip this step, but this is just gonna add more luminosity to the skin, make our foundation just melt in. And if you are oily, just stick to the Illamasqua. But I honestly wouldn't put the Illamasqua through here. And we're just gonna work this in with our Anisa all over care brush. And I'm gonna try to just focus on the outer perimeter and a little bit underneath the eyes. I might grab my eye treatment brush again. We definitely don't want to put that mattifying primer underneath our eyes. Always, no matter the skin type, we want to keep the under eye as moisturized as possible. Also, we're going to battle this hoop earring today. And then we'll just go ahead and put it here as well, but not through the center. And again, let's let all of these primers dry down for at least a minute. Now we're going to do some light color correcting. I'm going to grab my Algenist color correcting drops. This is in the shade Peach. And we're just going to do a very thin layer. I love these because they're almost non-existent on the skin, but they still, as you can see, major difference. And I'm tapping this on with the Zoeva 146. So we'll just tap that in underneath our eyes, and then maybe a little here where I have shadows. So we're gonna go ahead and let these dry down at least 30 seconds or so. Once I have all this applied, make sure you let this one dry down as well. Normally when I use a lot of creams, I'm going a little lighter on my foundation. When you're layering these kind of cream products, you kind of want to go a little bit lighter because there are going to be cream layers. So the foundation I'm going to use today is the Stay Naked foundation by Urban Decay, and I have it here on the back of my hand. I'm going to go ahead and pick up a little bit, and I just kind of even that out. I always do this. Even that out on the brush. This is my Anisa Pinnacle foundation brush, code ROSE for a discount. And I'm just gonna start to tap this into my skin. Just take your time. And while this looks like a lot, what I have here, I'm actually just gonna go ahead and move it over here as well. So I want you to know that I'm not gonna go back and pick up a whole lot of foundation. I'll just make this kind of work. And then once I have all of this spread on my face, I kind of step back and I go, what else needs a little bit more foundation? And then I always keep in mind that we're still going to be adding concealer. So we're wanting to keep this as thin as possible. So we have our foundation on, but before we move on, I want to let you know there are some foundations that set on their own. The one I can think of is Maybelline Superstay. I feel that that one just kind of sets once you put it on, and that's not the kind of foundation we're looking for this. You want something that is going to be satin finish. You can still have a matte finish, but you want to make sure that the foundation has a lot of playtime. And by playtime, let's just make sure that it doesn't dry incredibly fast. And when we go to put cream products on top, it starts to separate, peel, lift, ruin the entire day. So keep that in mind. Okay, so here we have our Jelly Bronzer from Rimmel. This is in the shade Golden Touch. It's so fun. You guys are going to love the texture. So I just scooped it out here with my little makeup spatula. Also fun. Highly recommend it. And I'm just gonna leave it here on the coaster, and I'm gonna pick up, that was the wrong brush. Please don't use your foundation brush. I love this brush. You guys know I use the prototypes, but I really wanted to use a lot of brushes here that are gonna be available so you guys can grab them. This is a MAC 143 SES. I love this. It is synthetic, and it just picks up the bronzer really nicely. We're just gonna pick up a little bit of that. And we're just gonna start to tap. Remember, nothing is set. We have no powder, and I have not even done my concealer. So if we need to go back in and correct anything with the concealer, if this comes up too high or comes down too far, we can always come back and fix that. Look how pretty that is. No lines. You're not gonna have patchiness. It's going to look amazing. So that's why I kind of switched over to creams. I feel like they're very intimidating, but once you get the hang of them, you're not gonna go back, I promise. I know, that's some mighty talk, but they're actually easier, and it actually takes me less time. So we're just gonna go ahead and do the outer perimeter. Just look how pretty and natural that looks. I just feel like I could never get this feel from using powders alone. And then whatever's left, I'll just go down the sides of my nose and underneath. So you guys have noticed in my stories, I've been using the Urban Decay Stay Naked Concealer quite a bit. I'm really liking it. And again, we're not gonna be using a whole lot of concealer. With this many creams, you wanna keep it to a minimum. Say if we had a blemish or any kind of discoloration, we would use this much, we would blend it in, and then we'd step back and go, do we need more? So let's just start with just a little bit. And I'm gonna grab my Anisa Angle Concealer Brush. It's over here. Gotta get out of frame. I'm gonna grab my Anisa Angle Concealer Brush, and I'm just gonna start tapping this in. And again, if we had any kind of bronzer that went wild, this will kind of bring it all back together. And then we'll go underneath this little baby wing. I was actually on FaceTime with Mel when I did this wing, and I could just feel her watching me going, Rose, that's not gonna be a baby wing. And then I finished it and she was like, oh, that looks good. That was my thought. And we're just gonna continue to tap this in. Just really take your time. I feel like YouTube world, it can never show you how long I really take to tap this in. And I can't even really show you on stories. One day, I know it's gonna be the lamest video ever, but I feel like I just need to show you how long it actually takes me to tap and blend in my concealer and foundation, because I know that it feels like a long time and we're like, okay, well, here we go, that's good enough. Working it into the skin is going to make it last so much longer, look more realistic. It's just altogether what you need to do. Now I've cleaned off my little coaster here, and I'm gonna grab this called Cheek Slime from Freck. It's in the shade Uncuffed. That should do it right there. I'm gonna grab this Mario Sephora. There he is. It's a cheek brush. And we're just gonna go right in here. Just pick it up, get aggressive. Just kind of work it around. I'm making sure it's nice and even in my brush. That way we don't have a clump here or a clump here. Just nice and even throughout. And I'm gonna go ahead and just start to work this in. Remember, there's no powder on our face. We're gonna be fine with these layers. It's not going to lift. It's not going to get patchy. I do want you to notice that I'm not dragging my brush. I am tapping, and I want you to remember that I have not dragged my brush one time. I'm always tapping. I like to go across here, give us a little sunny effect. And we're gonna go across our forehead and a little across our chin. So with our foundation brush, we're just gonna go ahead and start to tap everything back together. I'm actually gonna grab my concealer brush, just kind of make sure our bronzer didn't go down too far. And then to make sure we don't have a line, let's grab the foundation brush once again and just kind of tap over that. This is the best way to make sure our creams are all melted together. Now I'm gonna grab that same Zoeva 146 and we're gonna grab the Domini Cosmetics Skin Gloss in the shade Golden Dew. I think this is my favorite cream highlighter. And look at that. You get that gorgeous glow without any texture. Now the way we set this is really going to make a difference. If we were to just leave it like this, even though my skin is normal to dry, we would have it moving around. Not cute. So once you see how we set, where we set, and what tool we use to set, you're gonna be less frightened, I promise. So we're gonna grab our Givenchy powder and our Tati Blendiful. We're gonna go into the powder. Now, what you're seeing is it's a little uneven. It might not be even on the puff. So I like to rub it on the back of my hand. Remember, that's not a waste. We can come back and get that. And what we're doing here is we're just making sure that the powder is nice and even throughout the puff. So now we're just gonna go ahead and start to press this underneath my eye. And I do underneath my eyes first because that's gonna be the first place to crease. So just take your time, and it might look like we're baking. We're not. We're gonna continue to press all of this powder in until it completely disappears. Just take your time with this one. Do keep in mind that we can still see our highlighter, and I didn't press a whole lot of powder into that area. Now we're gonna switch to a MAC 252S and that same exact powder. We're just gonna go ahead and start to tap this through the center. I love this brush because it's just so wide and it just sets through here so nice, and you can still have a little bit of precision and set around your eyebrows as well. Oily skin tip. I'm actually gonna grab this Rimmel Stay Matte powder. I love, love, love this powder. And instead of using a brush, I'm actually just gonna grab the puff, and we're gonna go directly in here. And I'm going to press on the sides of my nose. Just think, anywhere that you get oily and you're afraid of your makeup separating, or you just feel like your creams need set a little bit more, this is going to be your best bet. Translucent powder and loose powders are just so much better underneath the eyes and through the absolute center of the face. But for the rest of the face, I really highly recommend getting a puff and a pressed powder and working that into the skin. So I always want to make sure that everyone is covered, all skin types. We want to be helpful to everyone. So I myself, normally I don't use setting sprays. I'll do a video on that and why and how I do use setting sprays when I do. But for right now, I wanted to show this one. It's so interesting. It's so slept on. This one is from Smith & Cult. It is the Instant Recall. And what this is, it's a powder setting spray. And even if you're dry, this is going to be really, really amazing. But if you're oily, this is what you've been looking for, okay? I don't have a code. I don't make any money off of it, but when I discovered it, I was like, wow, why are not more people talking about this? So we're just gonna go ahead, and you have to shake it very well. Shake it up real good until the cows come home. And then what I do is I just spray this through the center. And you will not get oily. You can take it with you. It honestly feels a little refreshing. It doesn't feel powdery. Honestly, it works. If I know I'm gonna be wearing my makeup for quite some time, I reach for this. Another quick tip, don't be afraid to push that setting spray and any kind of setting spray back into the skin with your puff. Oh, I went ahead and did my lipstick off camera. This is Colourpop Oh Snap Lip Liner, and then this is the newest Jouer gloss. It is in the shade Feminist. So pretty, that's all I have on here. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. You guys have been asking me about the creams. I hope this was in-depth enough. I hope you guys learned something. I love you all so much, and we'll see you in the next tutorial.